Hello, I'm David DeCosmo. Welcome to ECTV Live. My regular co-host Rusty Fender is on assignment this week, so we expect we'll see him back on our next program. My guest today is Gary Duncan, and Gary and I have been Facebook friends for quite a while now. Gary intrigues me with some of the work that he does with an organization that is called the Dunmore Neighborhood Watch. Now, we have had some representatives on before Gary in years past from what at the time were called crime watch programs that were in fact set up in neighborhood settings. So have you evolved from neighborhood crime watch?
Sure.
What is Dunmore Neighborhood Watch?
Well, we're not a crime watch. We truly are a neighborhood watch. Neighborhood watch differs in that we have a wonderful police department in Dunmore who do a wonderful job doing investigative types of procedures with crime per se. A neighborhood watch is actually set up on an entirely different principle. We're about quality of life issues, David, so it can run the gamut from black storm drains, and we do get flooding, like every town does with increased rain and with melt from snow, etc. So it can be something as simple as that, which you know, if you're a house that's being flooded, that's a quality of life issue. Abandoned properties that may be overrun by something as simple as skunks or squirrels or those types of things, or increased traffic in abandoned properties, increased traffic at rental properties. So it's not that there's a crime watch component to it, it really is neighborhood watch. It can be degradation of sidewalks, it can be lighting situations, it could be people working in a garage at 11:30 p.m. Everything that I've talked to you about is an example of something that's happened that's been a concern to the neighbors. Elevated noise levels, those types of things.
Sure, and some of those things actually, by being vigilant and addressing those, can have a positive impact on crime prevention.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But the key to making something like this work obviously has got to be participation of citizens. So what do you do? Get together once a month, something?
Well, we established this all the way back in July of 2013. So I'm proud of the fact that we've really never missed a meeting. We've kept this going since 2013, that summer. I'll tell you about everything, how we originated and everything. I went before council because I met a lot of neighbors over the length and breadth of the borough of Dunmore. We have 14,000 people, give or take, in Dunmore. And a lot of people had concerns about their neighborhoods, their specific blocks, and what they saw as a change in their environment, in their milieu, their neighborhood. So the people that spoke to me, I asked, what do you think about a neighborhood watch? Not a crime watch. We know what happened in Florida with Trayvon Martin and the Zimmerman situation.
Yes,
I didn't want to go that route. We talked about quality of life, and surprisingly, I had a pretty decent outpouring. So I went before the Dunmore Borough Council at the time. It was composed of a few different individuals, but years ago they had a crime watch in Dunmore.
Yes.
And what I looked for was if any of those individuals were still around, if they would be interested in reforming, and what happened to that. I want a little bit of a historical perspective. And really nobody could give me any answers, so we had to start fresh. So when I set this up, we had, believe it or not, I posted it. We have a Dunmore Neighborhood Watch Facebook page, my Facebook page. The Fidelity Bank was very helpful to us because they posted on their, they have an electronic messaging board at the corners of Blakely and Drinker. And so they actually posted for us, and the Scranton Times was beneficial. They put it out for us. So we got it out in a couple of different social media as well as in print form. WILK, our friends at WILK were also very beneficial because the hosts at the time, the late, great L.A. Tyrone, Sue Henry, among others, they were very helpful in that they gave me the airtime to get out there and to talk about the formation of the Dunmore Neighborhood Watch. In the borough of Dunmore, we have council meetings twice a month. We have them on the 2nd and on the 4th Monday of the month. So when I set this up, because I really tried to look at everything, I set our neighborhood watch up on the 3rd Monday of the month so that anything that came up at a meeting, I can get those minutes typed up. I have email access, fortunately, to all of our council members.
And then bring it before council.
And bring it, well, I can actually send them everything usually the day after the meeting, we'll get everything typed up, processed. I'll get it out in email form. I can get it out to code enforcement, zoning, police chief, fire department, all of the department heads within the borough, as well as all the council members, and we have a borough manager in Dunmore. So we can get that out to all the individuals involved. So as soon as issues come up, we can start the process of, remedying those issues.
Oh, that way you don't have to have somebody complain about something and wait 2 or 3 months to even address the situation before the people that may be able to handle the problem.
Correct. And then as a follow-up to that, after getting everything typed and sent out, I think I may have missed one council meeting maybe in the last 8 to 10 years, and that was because I actually had to have surgery done, so I thought I had a legitimate excuse to miss that one. But minus that, I do try to get to every council. I go to bed in Dunmore. I wake up in Dunmore. I do love Dunmore. I'm a member of the Historical Society. I'm on the Planning Commission. And I was always taught as a kid to give back. And the whole premise of the Neighborhood Watch was to give something back to the community. And it is an extra set of eyes and ears for the borough. We have people out there.
Yeah, now, I know just from reading the comments on the Facebook page, on social media, that it isn't just a meeting where people come to complain about things. You've actually structured these sessions, as we recall, you even had a meeting very recently with some very prominent guests who do fit in with problems area-wise that are being addressed or in the talking stage today.
Well, we have been very fortunate. Let me just tell you some of the people that attend our meetings and some of those who have attended. Again, I'm blessed in Dunmore. We have wonderful community support. At every meeting, we have from day one, we had a police chief. He's still with us, Captain Springer, not the chief, but a captain, who came to our very first meeting and introduced a police liaison named Tom Richardson. He's one of our patrolmen. Tom still comes to our meetings, but we've had other officers who've come, Aronica and Burdett and many others, and Officer Taylor. So there's always a police representative at our meetings. In addition to that, we have 7 council members in Dunmore, and we usually have 2 to 3 council members that come, so we're blessed there. Director McCarthy from Lackawanna County Probation and Parole attended one of our meetings and gave a beautiful presentation, and I'm very fortunate in saying that we've had 1 to 2 members, usually 2 members from the Lackawanna County Probation and Parole Department at our meetings. You're right, most recently we had an election in Lackawanna County. We have a brand new district attorney.
Right.
I happened to be out on a Sunday, of all things, and I saw District Attorney Powell and asked him, and believe me when I tell you, I know he's got a lot on his plate. He's brand new in the office, and I'm sure he has to triage everything. But I asked him, if at his convenience, if he could ever attend or would consider attending a meeting. In the past, we've had Mr. Scanlon, who was the district attorney. He did a wonderful presentation on heroin hits home. Prior to that, we had Mr. Tallarico, who came and introduced himself in the role of the district attorney's office. So it's really a continuation of that. So, but with a new district attorney. Well, that was on a Sunday, probably at 5 o'clock at night. And I didn't want to peer pressure him, but I gave him my cell phone. And I couldn't believe it. About an hour later, and the next day was Martin Luther King Day, so I know he had places to go and things to do. He joined us that night at 7 o'clock, and by God, he's as handsome in person as he was on his Christmas card. And he gave a great presentation of the district attorney's office, the roles of it, and some of the things that he's interested in, the opioid fentanyl situation and those types of things. I serve on the Governor's Council on Aging with Secretary of Aging Osborne, and I get to go down every 2 months. We're very fortunate, and obviously, even at the state level, fentanyl and heroin, and here it is in Lackawanna County. So I think that does come over the neighborhood watches when we look at apartment situations or changes, as I said earlier, in traffic flow in an area.
Yeah,
and they can all be signs and
current
symptoms.
things that do fit, right, within not necessarily just Dunmore, but certainly that's your purview.
Oh, absolutely.
I noticed one of the things you brought along, and this is very impressive to me, is a neighborhood survey. And what issues in Dunmore concern you the most? Check all that apply. And there are things like playgrounds issues, speeding through the streets, crime noise, not enough street lighting, trash pickup, unsafe for pedestrians, animals, barking dogs, trash in yards. poorly kept yards, lowering property values, abandoned and junk cars. These are the kind of things that probably all of us, wherever we live, we've noticed. And often we think of them as a small thing. You see one thing, you see, as an example off the list, you see trash in a yard. And it's annoying to you, but it isn't the most important issue in your life, and so you may just ignore it completely. You, it seems to me, by virtue of circulating the survey and looking for results, you're taking these things very seriously so that they can be addressed.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. When we initially set that up, we were able to pick 4 or 5 issues that were across the length and breadth of Dunmore. And that's what we based our first community walks on. And I have to say this, we're also lucky because there's issues, we have a campus in Dunmore. We have our grade school and our middle school and our high school all on the same campus, but there are traffic control concerns, and there's issues with bus stops and those types of things. Director Kranick from the Dunmore School Board is at every one of our meetings. So we actually also have a school board member, and I think that's unique for a neighborhood watch. And I think that gives you an idea of the difference between what we are and a more traditional, I guess, crime watch. So there's truly a community commitment and an involvement. And we're still averaging, David. Last year we had a blizzard, and that blizzard happened to fall on our Monday. And I canceled the meeting, and I sent out a notification everywhere, and I sent out multiple text messages. I got a call from Patrolman Richardson who said, "Gary, what happened to the meeting?" And I said, "We canceled it." And he said, "Well, Gary, you've got like 3 or 4 people over here." And I said, "Oh my God."
They came anyway.
They still managed to get there. So I think that's a real commitment to community.
Sure. So, Gary, in the case of something like this survey,
yes, sir.
Would this be handed out to people coming to your meeting, or do you actually try to get this to all of the homes?
No, we can't get them out to 14,000 people. That'd be a lot of paper for one thing,
sure.
and I think the environmentalists might get mad at me for that'd be a lot of trees. But what we do is those that are interested that come to the meetings, especially the new people, what we do is we give those the survey, those concerns. I wait around after the meeting. Sometimes people just aren't comfortable speaking in public, so we wait around after the meeting. Sometimes somebody will come up. They may give you a little index card, a piece of paper with a concern on it, for all their own reasons, which we have to respect that. But they're at that meeting, so there's obviously a concern. So we give them those types of papers. They're little visual cues per se for them.
Sure.
But we want everybody to have the opportunity to talk. The way the meeting is structured is this. I give a copy of the month prior, all of the minutes from those meetings. They get out to every single person that's at the meeting. We go through the old business, and then we go through new business, and then we go table to table, person to person, those that feel comfortable. And that's their opportunity to express any concerns, anything that they've seen in that past month.
And it would seem that, correct me if I'm wrong, it would seem that no thing is too small.
No, nothing is too small. We want, I've used this slogan and from the beginning of it, you do have a voice and all are welcome. I'm proud to say, David, we've had people from other boroughs, other municipalities that have come to Dunmore to see how we run our neighborhood watch.
And that brings me to my next question, because it seems to me that if you have a crime watch in your community, that you already have the potential nucleus for expanding into this type of neighborhood watch. If you've got a few people that already have expressed their interest in keeping their community safe by being vigilant, that could serve as, the seeds for something like you're doing. Now, you've already had inquiries from other communities. I'm wondering if you might have had inquiries from, quote, crime watch organizations here or there, or would you like to reach out to them to say, look what you're missing, look at the possibilities?
Well, one of our guest speakers happened to be Judge Moyles, and we had another guest speaker who was a detective with Lackawanna County, Detective Zeck, and he talked about investigations and those types of things. Judge Moyles talked about the multitude of courts that are now in existence in Lackawanna County. Front page of the Times today, there's a new court that's going to be starting up, and it's a pre-trial court, and it's to help people that to stay out of jail and to stay on the straight and narrow until their court dates come up. But we have a multitude of, I think, incredible opportunities for people to stay out of jail and to get their lives squared up. Judge Moyles in her presentation to me, and I take advantage of every person that comes to speak to us, as well as our new District Attorney, Mark Powell. But what my goal is I would like to see neighborhood watches, and some communities do call them crime watches here in Lackawanna County. But what I would like is, and I expressed my thoughts to both Judge Moyle as well as to District Attorney Powell, and District Attorney Powell had seemed to accept that positively. When everything gets squared away in his office, it would be nice if we could get all of the communities in Lackawanna County that have existing neighborhood watches / and/or crime watches, whatever their policy and procedure is, but to get together under one common roof to look at how we do everything, the collective body, and to see if we can't get that out. And then we can have Lackawanna County-wide summits for neighborhood watch / crime watch organizations, which then helps. We're talking, we have a county drug task force. We have a county SWAT team. Yeah. And so there are different levels of government that sometimes they kind of fly under the radar, but they're very important in maintaining the quality of life in neighborhoods. Why wouldn't we want to put that out to a county-wide vision and bring that back? Because the best eyes, you can have 1,000 police, but they can't be on every street corner and every block. But if you have a community investment, a citizen investment, I think that just magnifies the quality of life in every community, from one end of the county to the other. And I've spoken to some neighborhood watch groups, and I know in some instances there's an interest, but if we can get that out countywide, that really is my ultimate goal.
I could see expansion far beyond countywide.
Well, you would hope that it would go statewide, to be perfectly honest with you.
I mean, and I take the example, we go back to what we were talking about earlier. If you have a community in whatever area it's located, and one individual sees that trash in a yard and doesn't think it's that big a deal, but maybe there are 4 other individuals that have seen the same trash and thought the same thing, and were they all to speak up, or at least 3 out of 4 of them to speak up, perhaps it might be just what was needed to address that issue. But the only way you can do that is if you bring people together to start talking about these things.
And we do the neighborhood walk, certainly not in January and February when we have a wind chill factor of -10. It's medically, I'm in healthcare 43 years, medically it would be prohibitive. But once the weather breaks, we do the neighborhood walks. And you can get so much more from a walk, David, than you can from...
What's the neighborhood? I mean, is that exactly as it sounds? You're actually
We're out walking, we're
around
canvassing. We take the neighborhood survey that I've given you, so we have it. Everybody's got the visual cues. The papers are in front of them. So if we have recessed storm drains, major concern in an actual event happened. Tree limbs come off trees. This is a tough time of year. So, with the elements, they break tree limbs down. Well, when you have tree limbs on power lines, then we have a potential problem. We had an abandoned house in Dunmore. On a neighborhood walk, there was a line down. Would you believe that line? The house was abandoned. The power was never turned off. It was a live wire. So,
oh, wow.
Our fire chief, DeNaples, got right out and had the services cut to the house. So every once in a while, something that may look benign is not so benign. It's a major concern. And in that particular case, it may have been a life-saving situation. Those are the types of things that we look at. Graffiti on stop signs, David, because that can be a sign of decay of a neighborhood. So we actually, on that walk, you can see the fronts and the backs of signs, and we can let the borough officials know that they've been tagged in that area. So those types of things. Sidewalks that are decaying, because people walk their dogs. You can slip off a sidewalk and break an ankle. Yeah, it's a concern because it's a degrading situation. So we do want to look at that. Again, I'm blessed. We have a very proactive community. I don't know that everybody up and down the valley has the type of support that I have. And I can never thank them enough because they don't just give me the time to come to our meetings. They give me the time at council and to speak again to them for 5 minutes. I can never thank them enough for the support we've gotten since 2013.
Sure. I think the neighborhood walk is a brilliant idea, and here again, it's one thing to say, I've got some trash that I've spotted in my neighborhood and it bothers me, but you actually take people out and have a look.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, although you're not a gigantic metropolitan area, you still have some square miles in Dunmore. So how do you decide where you're going?
Well, a lot of times it can be something as simple as we may have 2 or 3 people that come to a neighborhood watch meeting and express some concerns to the things that are going on in their neighborhood. Well, you're certainly going to triage that up to the top of the list, because if there's immediate concerns, we want to get out there. That's a neighborhood that we would want to get right into. All the officials are always invited to come along with us, and we've had council members, and including our past mayor and Mayor Burke. We have a newly elected mayor, and Mayor Burke has joined us on these walks. So it's a great opportunity to get out and exercise. It's a great opportunity to get out and meet your constituents and to meet the citizens of your town, our taxpayers' source. And it's a great opportunity to fix the town that you go to bed in.
How often do you try to do that?
We try, well, once the good weather breaks, David, we try to get a walk in every 4 to 6 weeks. So which I think is really good. We can cover a lot of areas. Dunmore is, believe me, there's a lot of hills in Dunmore.
Oh yeah, sure.
But we get out into the neighborhoods, and you know, you can see so much more on the ground than you can. Even driving a car, you can't believe what you can miss, just even if you're driving at 5 miles an hour. But to get out and walk and to physically go over the sidewalks and to get a feel for it. In Dunmore, a great example. Years ago when they put curbing in, they put metal in with the curbing. Well, when the metal sticks out, it punctures tires. We had a few blocks that had to be removed in. Our DPW, our Public Works people got out and had that situation fixed. Our zoning and code enforcement officer, Mr. Lawrence, is wonderful about getting out, and he'll go down and look at it. If there's an issue at a neighborhood watch where a car's there 4 or 5 days, our patrolmen, our Dunmore Police Department, they will go down immediately after the meeting and check it out. So the great thing about the meeting is, in some instances, it's such a simple fix, and it's an immediate, fix. And wouldn't that make you feel great? You're a taxpayer. These are your tax dollars at work.
You want to see results.
And I think it brings a community together. We have a great night out in Dunmore, and that's all part of everything.
An award-winning night out.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. And the commissioners have been with us. One of the night commissioner meetings, they had a few, in different municipalities up and down Lackawanna County. And thankfully, and I was thrilled, they picked Dunmore to do it. And
let me not assume that everybody knows that night out, National Night Out, is of course an effort to try to get your police, your fire, your emergency management people out, usually in a fun kind of setting, almost, for want of another term, almost a carnival type of setting, to bring the public out so they can actually intermingle with these people, get to know who they are and exactly what they do. And it's been very successful. And as I mentioned, talking to Gary Duncan here, that the one in Dunmore has often won some awards for the success of that particular program. But as you say, Gary, here again, it's the idea of getting the people out and getting them together.
Oh, absolutely. And it's community policing. But it's in Dunmore, we have the fire department. We have all of the municipal officials involved in that. The Lackawanna County Commissioners, when they had their nighttime meeting in the borough, they recognized the Dunmore Neighborhood Watch, and it was nice to be noticed. And they gave us a little good works proclamation, and you do take pride in that. And
sure.
And it takes, it takes a village. But in this particular case, to think that since 2013, we still have such a committed group of individuals that they would even come out in a blizzard because they want to make their community better. And I probably sound a little, maybe a little goofy when I say this, but you can't do this and not have that touch your heart. And to see these individuals coming out, and they're not all young, but they're all there, and they bleed Dunmore, and I can't think that there's anything better than that. That's what you want, and I would think every municipality in the county would want that, and that's why, honest to God, David, I hope in my heart of hearts, some way, somehow, if it's District Attorney Powell, or if it's Judge Moyle, or if it's a consortium of individuals, but I'd certainly like to be the one to invite everybody, and I hope everybody that sees this reaches out to me. There's a Dunmore Neighborhood Watch Facebook page. There's a Gary Duncan, D-U-N-C-A-N, Gary Duncan Facebook page. You can certainly reach out to us at that. You can contact the Dunmore, any one of the Dunmore officials. I'm sure they would point you in the right direction. I'm certainly easy to find. If you can get on Facebook, you can find me.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee I'll get back to you within a day. But I'd like to take the Neighborhood Watch, at this point, county-wide, and get the involvement. And you don't have to be an existing Neighborhood Watch, an existing Crime Watch. You can certainly come and just join us in a meeting and see how we do it and take it back to your community and tweak it and do what works in your community. But I would like to give the message, let's all in Lackawanna County get together and let's all have one giant county-wide Neighborhood Watch.
I think it's extremely impressive, your success rate. I don't know that you can place numbers on it necessarily, but if you do have somebody complaining about that trash I've been using as an example right along here, and you can say, we've had complaints about that in spot A and spot B, and take a look now, it's gone.
We've invested in new streetlights in Dunmore, and that's made a significant change for our city.
Through the watch?
I'm sure as a group, because we had concerns when I started, David. When we started the Neighborhood Watch, there were concerns about the street lighting, and the borough officials, I can't necessarily say it acted on us, but I'm sure we were a part of it, that borough officials thankfully went out, and we now have different streetlights in Dunmore, and believe it or not, that's one of the issues that pretty much have gone away. You know, the streetlights have fixed that situation. Well, if you have good lighting in your blocks, it's a lower crime rate. You know, always keep a light on. I mean, we should all do it, an outside light.
And Gary, I can see such a retro success here, because there was a time when everybody knew their neighbor.
And then that doesn't happen
And that
anymore.
doesn't happen now, but I'll bet more viewers know each other because of the organization.
And what also helps is this, and you're a very wise man, David, and you know the America of our youth and the America now. And when we were children, everybody spoke to the police and the fire. As things progressed, people kind of pulled back from that, and there was a fear. Well, when you meet the police and you know the police, and you meet the fire and you know the firemen, and all of the public officials, you're more apt to feel comfortable
Absolutely,
talking to
sure.
them. And that helps the community thrive.
Absolutely.
I can never say enough about the support we get in our community.
I just see such a potential here from reporter looking into these things. It seems to me that we do have a lot of the old traditional crime watch existing, and this is an opportunity to take that to another level. So just before we go, Gary, one more time, how can anyone who's interested in forming something similar find out what's happening from you?
Well, absolutely. Again, my name is Gary, G-A-R-Y, Duncan, D-U-N-C-A-N. So if you can get on the Facebook, you can certainly go to my page. You can send me an inbox. You don't have to post publicly. We have a Dunmore Neighborhood Watch Facebook page. That's its separate page. You can post in there. You can do the same thing. You can send us an inbox even on that. We have our meetings the third Monday of every month, minus a 32-inch snowstorm, and if
Where?
that's the case, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
It's at 7 o'clock. It's in the community room of the Dunmore Neighborhood Center, which is located on Monroe Avenue. We have our next meeting on Monday, February the 19th, 2018 at 7 p.m. So those of you that see this broadcast, you do have a voice. All are welcome. Please feel free to come out and join us. If not now, I hope to see you all in the future. And that goes for everybody up and down the length and breadth of Lackawanna County.
Very good, Gary Duncan. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Appreciate it.
Thanks so
and
much.
It sounds like a great opportunity for those that want to really do something positive for their community. Hopefully we'll see Rusty Fender back as my co-host next week. Mark McGlory, thanks for keeping us in focus. I'm David DeCosmo for ECTV Live. Until we see you again next week, here's hoping all your news is good.